Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution calls for a legislative body and creates Congress. Congress is the branch of government that makes the laws. The way that Congress is set up is bicameral, meaning there's two houses. We have the House of Representatives, which is representation based on population. There's at least one representative per state. They have the special power to impeach as well as initiate tax bills, and the presiding officer is the Speaker of the House. The second part of Congress, to make it the bicameral, is the Senate. The Senate is equal representation. There's 2 senators per state. The Senate has the special power to approve president's treaties and appointments with a 2/3 majority vote required. Senators serve as jury during impeachment trials, and their presiding officer happens to be the Vice President of the United States. Let's zoom into our legislative branch and Congress, first focusing on the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives serve a 2-year term. In order to qualify for this position, you must be at least 25 years old, a 7-year resident of the U.S., a resident of the state you are representing. There are 435 House of Representatives. The head of the House of Representatives is the Speaker of the House, and they decide the committees that each member of the House will serve on. They also decide the order in which bills will be heard. Special powers that the House of Representatives hold are all of the monies for bills start in the House. They select the president in the Electoral College tie, and they write the article of impeachment against high-ranking officials. So while the House of Representatives have very many across the United States, and they only serve for 2-year terms, a lot of times you'll see that these House of Representatives get elected and re-elected year after year, giving them quite a bit of power and influence in Congress. The other house in the bicameral legislative system of the United States is the Senate. Senators hold office for 6 years. In order to be qualified as a senator, you must be at least 30 years old, be a U.S. citizen for 9 years, and reside in the state that you're wishing to represent. There's a total of 100 senators, and each state has equal representation of 2 senators per state. The head of the Senate happens to be the U.S. Vice President. It's a way that we can keep the executive branch in communication with the legislative branch. But the day-to-day operations of the Senate are headed by the President pro tempore. The Senate has the power to decide the committee members as well as what order the bills are debated on. They have special powers as well in the Senate. They approve all treaties, they approve all presidential appointments to different positions, they choose the vice president if an electoral college should tie, and they act as a jury in all trials for impeachment.
To all of the Congress members who came, we all bless you and thank you for coming, especially in all these bad times and for all the sacrificing and all.
Outside of its own powers, the legislative branch also has checks and balance powers on the other 2 branches. The legislative branch checks the executive branch by overriding presidential vetoes. They're capable of confirming executive appointments. They ratify treaties, declare war. They determine where we allocate money, and they can impeach and even remove the president. The legislative branch can even check the judicial branch by creating lower federal courts. They can impeach and remove judges. They can propose amendments to overrule judicial decisions, and they can even approve appointments for federal judges. Can't very well talk about the legislative branch without discussing how a bill becomes a law. It's important to know the difference between a bill and a law. To begin, a bill is a proposed new law that hasn't been passed yet. A law is a bill that has been passed by a legislative body. There are a variety of bills that discuss a variety of topics. An example would be a public bill, which is a proposed bill that deals with matters of general concern and application. A private bill is proposed legislation that deals with specific private, personal, or local matters rather than the general affairs of the public. And an appropriation bill is a legislative motion authorizing the government to spend money. We will very quickly look at the steps on how a bill becomes a law. The first step in introducing a bill to become a law is to come up with an idea. And ideas come from all kinds of sources like Congress members, maybe a citizen, they can come from the White House, governors, interest groups, federal agents, mayors. Anybody at all can come up with an idea for a law. Once an idea for a bill has been proposed, the writing and introduction of a bill must take place. The Senate, they read the bill formally aloud to the floor, and then the bill is given to a clerk and referred to a committee. The House has the bill dropped in their hopper, and it is referred to the committee by the Speaker. Honestly, this is just fancy talk for saying the House and the Senate both read the bill out loud and they determine what committee most closely would deal with that issue. Writing and introduction of the bill have been done, the House and Senate can now have committees take action in Step 3. House and Senate committees conduct public hearings to determine through experts testifying whether or not the bill should be pushed forward. They do markups of the bill, and the committee votes deciding to either favorably continue on with the bill or unfavor the bill and table it, meaning maybe they'll look at it another time. Should the committee in the House or the Senate choose a favorable action on your bill, the next step is to take it to the floor of the Senate for Step 4. Party leaders will schedule for the bill to be placed on the calendar for a floor debate, and there is an unlimited amount of debate time here in the Senate, which often sets up a problem of something called a filibuster, where members can keep talking to block other debaters from speaking on a bill. Sometimes people will stand at the podium for hours, sometimes reaching into the days, in order to stop people from barring what it is they're wanting to accomplish. A clotter can, however, step in with 3/5 or 60 of senators voting to end the filibuster, and of course from there would be a floor vote on the bill. If the bill happened to be on a House committee, Step 4 would then be to take the action to the floor of the House. The Rules Committee schedules these bills on a calendar, and they decide whether amendments needed to be added. Now, if there is a debate of the bill on the House floor, there is a limit on it, and a quorum or a simple majority of the members take a floor vote to either pass the bill along or to stall it on the floor. Once the bill has been approved, whether in the House or the Senate, it crosses over to the other house. That's right, the approved bill must also hold a majority approval in the other side of the House. After the crossover approval, we're on to Step 6, where the Conference Committee takes place. Members from the House and Senate sit on this Conference Committee, and they meet to reconcile differences in the bills that they had passed through both the House and the Senate to come to one final version of the bill. Finally, and while it may say Step 7, trust that it does take a long time to get here. Once there's been a final version between the Conference Committee, both chambers take a final vote on that final version of the bill. If the final version of the bill is passed with a majority vote, it then goes on to the final step, Step 8, where the President can consider to sign that bill into a law. At this point, the President can in fact sign that bill, making a law. He can also veto the bill, deciding that he does not want it to pass, or he has the opportunity to pocket veto it, which means put it in his pocket or put it on his desk and forget about it, and by the time he's ready to sign it, it's expired. It's tough cookies. Now, it is something to note, though, that Congress can override that veto with a 2/3 vote in each house. So, while the president can reign on that parade of Congress, they still have a way of coming back. Hope you guys learned a little bit about your legislative branch today. Hope you enjoyed the brain food. See you soon.